what's going to happen to the house since he passed away without a will?
So that one's also interesting. So my father did have a house. Thankfully, it was paid for, and we'll talk in a second about what would happen if it
there's no mortgage.
There's no mortgage currently on the house. So in the case that you die intestate, what's going to happen is if you have a spouse that is still living, that spouse will have a 1/2 undivided interest. However, the other half will go to your children. If you had any children that predeceased, it will go to their children. If you don't have any children, it will pass upwards to your parents. If you don't have parents that are still living, it will go out to your siblings. So Texas has what's called a moiety system. They try to make sure that there's someone to inherit whatever it is that you have. However, the way that it's going to work is it's going to split that share that you have equally among whoever your children are. So in the case of my dad, he did not have a spouse that was living at the time of his death. And we had 3 children, so we were all entitled to 1/3 of Dad's entire estate. That includes the house. So
are you guys going to sell it? Or?
We do not. We have agreed that we do not wish to sell the house. And so as of right now, we have 3 people owning 1 house, and one of the siblings is currently living in the house.
Who is paying for the insurance? Who is paying for the property tax?
So that's an interesting one. As of right now, we're kind of working on being able to pay for those things together, despite the fact that we have 1 sibling that is living in the house. But we have yet to be able to fully hammer that one out. Dad hasn't been dead for a whole month yet. So that is an ongoing conversation between me and the other siblings. However, it's possible that conversation becomes pretty contentious. We were really lucky in that Dad's house was paid off. If Dad's house had not been paid off, we would be having to pay the mortgage, which could be interesting.
$2,000 every month.
Correct. Yeah. And depending on how much, as a parent, your house is worth versus the amount that your children may have. Let's say they're younger, or let's just say for whatever reason they don't have as much money.
Or they will be forced to sell the house and then pay off the debts, and then they probably get nothing.
Correct. So one of the other things that can happen if you don't have the house that's paid off is if the children are unable to pay the mortgage, they may be forced to liquidate a property that they did want to keep because they don't have that temporary access to the funds in the account. So in the case of my father, if there had been a mortgage on the house, he does have money in the bank that we would be able to use if we had a death certificate and if we had access to those accounts. But again, because he lived in a small town, it may take up to 2 months. That's 2 payments that you would be late if we as the children weren't able to make that mortgage payment.
Right.
So that's something to really think about if you're a parent and you have either minor children or you have children that do not have the same financial means as yourself, to make sure to have a living trust or a will so that you're able to cover those expenses during that time period where they're waiting on probate, they're waiting on the court, or they're waiting on a death certificate like we are.
Right. So I always say that those people who come to our office, they're doing those plans for their children, for their loved ones. They're not doing this for themselves. So I always thank them that they are planning ahead of time to think for their families and think best for their future, prepare for the uncertainty.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. The fact of the matter is, as we sit here today in front of you, everybody's going to die at some point. It's never going to be convenient.
Someday, we don't even know.
Yeah, we don't know. And, I 100% believe that when my father went to bed his last night, that he didn't anticipate that he wouldn't wake up.
Yeah.
So I have no doubt in my mind. So, it's one of those things that's an uncertainty in your life.
Yeah.
But being able to come forward and work with us to be able to create a customized solution for your specific assets and your specific needs and your specific desires is something that's going to be able to save your loved ones and your family members and even friends that you'd want to be able to have some of your assets. It's going to save all those people a series of headaches, a lot of hard conversations, and a lot of arguments and a lot of thought at the time that they're very bereaved to come up with some sort of solution where you're able to try to make an equitable transfer of funds among the number of people that you have.
I want to make sure that our community understands what's going to happen if you die without will and what your family is going to deal with, and then you can have a better plan and then think about it. We really want to make sure that our community understands if you die without will, this is what's going to happen. It's a huge mess, and you want to make those plans when you still can, when you still have time, you still have money, right? And you don't want to wait until it's too late when something happens like this without any plan or any accident happened, we don't want to wait until it's too late to even thought about it. We don't want people to regret that they wish that they should have a plan a couple years ago. Then their kids don't need to go through this.